As part of participating in the longitudinal early onset Alzheimer's disease study, also known as LEADS, you will be able to learn if we find a mutation in one of the genes known to cause early onset Alzheimer's disease or other related disorders. Alzheimer's disease is classified as either early onset or late onset form. In the early onset form, symptoms are seen before the age of 65 and account for less than 5% of all cases of Alzheimer's disease. Learning the results of your genetic testing is optional. You can enroll in the LEAD study without learning your genetic testing information. The choice is up to you. This video will give you a quick introduction to genetics, including the genes that cause early onset dementia. It will also go over some of the reasons why some people decide to get their genetic results and why some decide not to. If you have questions at the end of this video, you will be able to speak to a genetic counselor or one of the people working on this study. A gene is a section of DNA that tells the body how to make a certain protein. Each gene is like an instruction which the body reads and interprets. If there is a change in a gene, also called a mutation or variant, then this can alter the function of the gene and therefore the protein for which it codes. There are several genes that, when mutated, are known to cause early onset dementia. Our testing will focus on 6 genes: APP, PSEN1, PSEN2, MAPT, GRN, and C9orf72. The genes PSEN1, PSEN2, and APP are related to the protein amyloid, and mutations in these genes often cause early onset Alzheimer's disease. The genes MAPT, GRN, and C9orf72 are related to frontotemporal dementia. A person with a mutation in any one of these genes is highly likely to develop early onset dementia. We have 2 copies of almost every gene. One copy is inherited from our mother and one from our father. Diseases caused by mutations in a gene can be inherited in different ways. Some conditions, such as cystic fibrosis or Tay-Sachs disease, are caused by a mutation in both copies of the gene. An individual has to inherit 2 mutations, one from each parent, to have the disease. The genes which, when mutated, cause early onset dementia have a different pattern called autosomal dominant inheritance. An individual needs to have a mutation in only one copy of the gene to develop the disease. In many families with early onset dementia, there are people in multiple generations who have developed the disease. Mutations in APP, PSEN1, PSEN2, MAPT, GRN, and C9orf72 account for most cases of familial early onset Alzheimer's disease. When someone with a mutation in one of these genes has a child, there is a 50% chance that they will pass this mutation to their child. This child has a high probability of developing early onset dementia. There is also a 50% chance that this individual will not pass the mutation to their child. This child will not develop early onset dementia. However, they would still have the general population risk of developing late onset Alzheimer's disease. There are rare cases where an individual has developed early onset dementia due to a mutation in one of these genes, but there are no other family members with early onset dementia. In these cases, the mutation may have started with that individual, and none of their parents or siblings have this mutation. The children of this individual have a 50% chance of inheriting the mutation and developing early onset dementia as an adult. However, most people with early onset dementia who do not have a family history of the disease do not have a mutation in one of these genes. Even in families with many cases of early onset dementia, sometimes a mutation can't be found. LEADS is interested in identifying additional genes that might be important risk factors for early onset dementia. Often, when someone develops a disease like mild cognitive impairment or early onset Alzheimer's disease, they want to know why it happened to them. Learning that you have one of these mutations will answer this question, at least on a biological level. It would also mean that other family members can be tested for the mutation if they want to know their risk for developing early onset dementia. For those with mild cognitive impairment, knowing that their symptoms will get worse allows them to plan for the future. But some people decide not to get their genetic test results. They may not want to know that their brothers, sisters, and children have a 50% chance of also carrying the mutation and also developing early onset dementia. And for those with mild cognitive impairment, some may not want to know that their symptoms will get worse. The reasons to learn or not learn your genetic test results are personal, and you may have your own reasons for or against learning this information. It might be helpful to imagine how you would feel if you learned that you do have one of these mutations. What would you do? Who would you tell? If we find a mutation in one of these 6 genes from our research testing, and you have told us that you want this information, we will verify the result in a clinical laboratory and give you a copy of the report. You will also discuss the findings with a genetic counselor. You will also be informed if our research screen did not suggest that you have a mutation in one of these 6 genes, but we will not verify this in a clinical laboratory and will not issue a report. Results from testing done in a research laboratory is only for your personal knowledge and should not be used to guide medical decisions or future life planning. Please discuss with your doctor if you would like to confirm this testing in a clinical laboratory and confirm that you don't have a mutation in these 6 genes. Regardless of your decision about learning that you carry a mutation in one of these 6 genes, you can change your mind later. Just let us know. And please, keep in mind that if we don't find a mutation, that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't a genetic explanation to your Alzheimer's disease or cognitive decline. It just means that we haven't found one. It might be helpful to keep the link to this video and watch it again. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us. We know that this is not an easy decision, and we want to answer any questions you might have. And thank you for participating in Leads.